welcome to Consumer Thursdays. This segment is brought to you by the Consumers Council of Missouri. We work to level the playing field for Missouri consumers. Missouri people should not have to be priced out of their ability to pay for utilities. We believe in equity in banking, personal finances as well. Home ownership should be a reality. Equity in wealth building as well. And also affordable health care. In this segment of Consumer Thursdays, we're happy to have Ms. Sandra Padgett, the Executive Director of Consumers Council of Missouri. Sandra is an experienced attorney and MSW who has years and years of experience in various nonprofits, schools, and court systems, advocating for families and children. Her leadership and advocacy, I should say, and legal skills has only strengthened the Consumer Council of Missouri, starting with a staff of 2, I think, about 3 years ago, to a staff going on 10, 12 now in 2025, and many more things and people to come. With that, I want to introduce Ms. Sandra Padgett, who will tell you what the Consumer Council is about, what it does, how it was founded, et cetera, et cetera. And with that, welcome, Ms. Padgett.
Thanks, George. You did such a great job of introducing our organization. As Mr. Robnett said, Consumers Council is a consumer advocacy nonprofit. We work to level the playing field for Missouri consumers, and we do that by focusing on affordable utilities, equitable banking opportunities, and health care for everyone in Missouri. We do have a formal mission statement, and that is to educate consumers statewide and advocate for their collective interests through leadership and partnerships on issues such as utility rates, healthcare access, personal finance, and others as they arise. So it's been interesting to me. I started in this position in May of 2022, and I've got to be honest with you, I had not heard of Consumers Council Missouri. I am a St. Louisian. I've lived here for most of my life, but I wasn't familiar with the work that we do. And it's fascinating to me that we were founded in 1971 by 2 very strong women, Alberta Slavin and Joyce Armstrong. And Alberta was a big consumer advocate. And she noticed, well, she found out in a conversation with her housekeeper that grocery store prices were higher in North City and North St. Louis than they were in the Clayton area where Alberta Slavin lived. And this really bothered her. So she got together a bunch of her friends, and they were in the 70s, you called women who were home, who didn't have a paid job outside of the home, housewives. So they called themselves housewives. And the housewives went out, and they looked at the grocery store pricing, and they found that that was true. The prices in the more affluent areas were actually lower than the prices where people had lower incomes. And so they were not happy about it. And they went to the grocery store owners and they talked to them, and they were able to equalize the pricing, which is really pretty amazing, especially for that time. And they called themselves HELP, and that stood for Housewives Elect Lower Prices. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
I didn't know that. That was new to me.
Yep, yeah, all these little tidbits of history. And then the next thing was that Alberta had purchased a phone. I want to say it was a Norwegian or Swedish phone, and she wanted to use that phone, but she was told by AT&T that if she did so, she would basically short out their system. And she just didn't believe it. And she had also found out that her housekeeper, that same housekeeper, had a Princess phone, and she was being charged more for the Princess phone than she was just for the regular phone at that time. And for those people who are younger who might be listening to us, at that time you didn't have cell phones. You had your phones in your house. And, sometimes you might want a phone that was a little bit fancier, just like people these days want to go out and get the newest iPhone. So she talked to AT&T, and the story I heard was that the AT&T executives actually came out to her home, and threatened her about what mayhem she would cause by using that phone.
Norwegian phone?
I believe so. It was either Norwegian or Swedish. I can't remember. I know. Eventually, you're going to talk with John Kaufman, and he'll know because he's more familiar with that story than I am. And they gave in because, as it turned out, it didn't short out their system, and it wouldn't have, and it was just fine for her to use that phone in her home. And then after that, she really started paying attention to utilities. And she got together with her good friend Joyce Armstrong, and they organized the Utility Consumer Commission of Missouri, and they called that UCM. So
I'm learning all kind of new stuff today.
yeah,
After 6 months, I'm still learning. Trust me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so they decided they were going to pay a lot of attention to what the utilities were doing. And then eventually, the Office of Public Counsel was formed, which is the state consumer advocacy organization. And Alberta Slavin was appointed to the Public Service Commission. And then Joyce Armstrong went on to be the executive director of the ACLU of Eastern Missouri. And so they continued in advocacy positions, doing a lot of good work. But it was a different time. So for example, at that time in the Missouri legislature, there was actually a House Consumer Protection Committee. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
No. Mm-mm.
A House Consumer Protection Committee.
Mm-hmm. In the Missouri House.
Missouri House
Yep.
Senate. That was,
Yep. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. That's
no longer
that's
exists.
no longer exists. No.
Trust me.
No. Now sometimes I feel like the legislature acts as if it's the House Business Protection Committee. So we really have to fight to make sure that the consumer interests are heard.
And that's really what's behind the Consumer Council of Missouri, is really to be an advocate of the consumer in order for them to not be priced out of cost, based on cost for utilities. Recently, we experienced a rate increase in both electric and gas, correct?
Electric, gas, water. Missouri American Water had a big rate increase.
Okay.
About a 25% rate increase. So Spire's rate increase was around 10 to 12%, depending on where you live in the state. Ameren received a 12% increase. I just talked about Missouri American Water. The Metropolitan St. Louis Sewer District, MSD, the district that serves St. Louis City and County for sewer services, they approved a 32% increase, which is in the process of being implemented. And then, of course, the St. Louis City Water Division has, they proposed and were granted by the city an increase of 44% in their water rates. Yeah.
Wow. 44% increase in the water rates in the city of St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Mr. Weston, Antonio Weston, who's also a community engagement coordinator with Consumer Council and my Consumer Council of Missouri, is going to be addressing that in an upcoming segment of Consumer Thursdays. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a big increase, and they also approved annual increases equal to the Consumer Price Index Urban, and the first one of those is going to hit on January 1st, 2026.
Wow. So we're going to see greater than a 44% rate increase in water costs across the city of St. Louis.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some of the things that Consumer Council of Missouri is working on today? I understand there's a case in Liberty, Missouri.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In Southwest Missouri, Liberty Electric has proposed a 31% rate increase. And we got involved because when that case was first presented to the Missouri Public Service Commission by that utility, it was about half of that. I can't remember. It might have even been in the 13% range, but I I probably shouldn't say exactly if I can't remember, but it was substantially lower. And when it was raised to that 31%, we got concerned because we had heard that there have been a lot of billing inaccuracies by that utility, and it's led to some consumers not receiving their bills for months and months. And that, of course, leads to arrearages, people not being able to pay their past due bills, which puts them possibly at risk for disconnection. Now, Liberty hasn't been disconnecting, probably because because of these inaccuracies, it would not be right for them to do so. But we also know that is an area that has a lot of rural poverty. It's an area where the homes are not efficient in terms of how they process energy, and many of the homes are heated by electric space heaters. So we felt that it was important to get involved in that case to protect the consumers who live there.
Fantastic. So it's safe to say that the Consumer Council of Missouri covers the entire state of Missouri when it comes to issues regarding affordability and utility costs.
Yeah, we are a statewide organization. Right now, we are limited by the grants that we have, and so we're not currently active in the Kansas City area, although our work in the Spire cases does benefit those who reside in Kansas City, but we are looking to expand in that area also. But yes, we are a statewide organization.
Right. What are some of the most rewarding experiences or accomplishments during your tenure here with the Consumer Council of Missouri?
I think what I'm most proud of is that we can do work on behalf of Missouri consumers that really no one else can do. We do not take funding from utilities. We are independent. We can make the decisions that are best for the consumers. So we can argue for example, in the rate cases, we can offer for additional assistance programs for people who are low income. We can do that beyond perhaps even what the Office of Public Counsel can do. So we can take positions that perhaps they would be hesitant to take, especially if this is a situation where their funding could be threatened due to the politics of what's going on.
And the organization has grown substantially. Wow. And I think about it because how long you just moved into these new offices here at 20 South Sarah, correct? I mean, within the last couple years?
Yeah. We have been a remote organization since 1971. Wow. And I've said this before, we are the original remote workers. But in September, well, that's not true. In June of 2024, we decided that we were going to hire a third person. Okay. And that's Antonio Weston, who works on our water affordability project. And when we did that, we realized that in order for our organization to work best, if we were all working from home, we just wouldn't have that collaboration. And we're a collaborative organization. We're also a community engagement organization. And I truly believe that in order to do the best work in that area, you need to be with your coworkers. You need to know them. You need to know what they're doing, so that you can be the best at the relationships that you're forming.
You know, it's kind of amazing, the fact that you think that the organization was basically formed in 1971. So that's 60 plus, if I'm correct, 60 plus years?
Right. And we did take a little hiatus because when the Office of Public Counsel was formed, Joyce and Alberta thought, well, our work is done, because now we have a state consumer advocate. But what we've seen over the years, first of all, I want to say that office does incredible work, and many people don't know about the Office of Public Counsel. Please just Google them. And we maybe can do a separate segment on them, or even invite somebody from that organization.
I hope to get Jeff Marks to do a segment. Yeah. Jeff is, I had the pleasure of meeting Jeff maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and his knowledge, experience, concern for the consumers across Missouri, I mean, I was astonished, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you really don't find people that don't have, quote, an affordability issue when it comes to utilities to really be concerned about those who would.
Right. I mean, he is a PhD economist. He works for the state of Missouri. He is one of the smartest and most principled people I've met in my work, and we are so lucky to have him in the work that he does.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, at this point, the only thing I can ask, is there anything else you'd like to add to this segment of Consumers Thursdays?
So the other thing I want to say that I'm really proud of is our St. Louis City Water Affordability Project.
Yeah.
We are working we're working with the city of St. Louis to establish a rate review process that would be transparent so that when the city is considering a rate increase, they provide information to the public so that we as consumer advocates and others too can determine whether that rate increase is supported by all of the available evidence. And we're concerned about that because in 2024, the city of St. Louis passed that 44% rate increase with the annual increases tacked onto that in less than 4 weeks. So that was an emergency board bill that was pushed through under the Jones administration. And we just really didn't feel like there was enough time for deliberation. We were also bothered because there at that time was no customer assistance program within the city of St. Louis for water bills, and it was our understanding that many people were behind on their bills. And so since starting on that work in 2024, first we were able to hire Antonio Weston, who is our community engagement specialist in the water area, and the city has been they've been welcoming to us, and we are continuing to meet with them on a rate review process. And we also worked with them to establish a pilot customer assistance program. And right now, that program is being underutilized. So if you are someone who is low income at 80% or less of the state median income, you are probably eligible for assistance on your water bill through the St. Louis City Water Division. So I encourage anyone who thinks they may be eligible to please go to the website, fill out an application, and see if you can get assistance. They will provide up to $500 for arrearages, and they'll also help you with help you put together a payment program for any other past due amounts moving forward. So yeah, I'm very proud of what we've done in that area.
That's a great accomplishment. That's a really good accomplishment to be able to get that affordability program in place. I understand there's $1 million that was set aside for that program, but more importantly, those who say for low income, I looked at the income limit. 60% of the area median income for a family of one is $62,400. So 90% of the people in the St. Louis metropolitan area are going to be eligible for that program. And the income only goes up based upon the family composition. The larger or greater number of people in the family, the more money the family can earn. So I would encourage everyone, as you indicate, to look at that because there's money available. And many of you have maybe got delinquent on your bill. I think there's a requirement of 90 days or greater delinquency, but to definitely go forward with that process and make sure you take advantage. Not often, and you can, as Ms. Padgett indicated, you can get up to $500 on your past due water bills. Well, with that, Ms. Padgett, on behalf of Consumer Council of Missouri, your agency, your organization, if there's nothing else, we'd like to thank you for talking with us.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure.